This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 355 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. If our lives depend on my mother ringing me at a time I actually ask her to, honestly, we're all dead. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a direct with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany and Troy.
It's Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Monday.
Mhm.
For those that it was a holiday today, hopefully you enjoyed your day off. I know I did. I'm glad it was a holiday because I slept like crap last night. So I would not have been a functional employee today. Oh my. So
The napping was strong with that one, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We hit the movie theater this afternoon, saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is quite excellent. So if you've not yet had the chance to see it, or if you just want to go see it again, go do it. I will not spoil because we have some of our number who have not yet seen it.
Yep. I've seen it and I agree with everything you just said.
Yes.
Oh, right. So news. We don't really have any news except a piece of 10 o'clock news.
Yes, this one, well, Holly knows too. This one it hits home because he was a staple of the Utah at least writing community, especially sci-fi fantasy, but he was also very well known in mainstream. David Farland, pen name of David Wolverton, passed away this week. It seems like there was an accident at his home. He was rushed to the hospital on life support. He basically had enough time for his family to come say goodbye, and he passed away early the morning of the 14th, which this one was a blow because nobody expected. I do understand he had some health problems, but he was recovering, and this just kind of and it's strange because if people know or if you know anything about sci-fi fantasy authors from Utah, there are a ton of them. Brandon Sanderson being a prominent one. Stephanie Meyer is another one that is fairly well known. Shannon Hale. They can all, and many others. I am Brad Torgerson, who we're friends with, and even Jared to a degree. He's they, some of these big names, they trace their writing career back to David Farland. His class, his creative writing class at BYU, which Brandon Sanderson took up when he retired from teaching, so it would continue. But that's how he got the con Life, the Universe, and Everything, LTUE, affectionately known as. And he wrote in Star Wars, the Star Wars IP. The Rune Lords is another series he wrote. That's but yeah, there's people that notice how many sci-fi fantasy authors live in Utah or are from here, and they're like, why are there so dang many? Well, it's because of him. So he's just, I have personal friends, and like I said, Jared even attended some of his writing some writing panels at LTUE and at Superstars and things like that. So this one hits home a little too close. And like I said, it was he was recovering from a health concern, but it was still a shock that we've lost him, and it feels like, way too young for a writer, at least. And I'm just like, wow, like it's been kind of a rough few daes.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Because I first found out about him from his Courtship of Princess Leia book.
Yes,
which
yes,
I loved. Critics,
yes.
You have to realize his first manuscript got stolen.
Yes.
So, to try to recreate what you had, not easy, because I can remember I had to write something, I had the power go out, backup didn't save, and I had a great start to a paper. You think I could remember every single word I had written? No, and it frustrated the living daylights out of me.
Right.
And then from that, I went and discovered his Golden Queen trilogy. And I think it's Golden Queen, or is it Golden Key?
Yes. I think one or both of those.
Yeah,
it's,
and I just fell in love with those.
Yeah, it is just kind of, yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, yeah, like you said, Courtship of Princess Leia, that was one that I read in high school and absolutely loved. And I didn't realize that he was local until many years later, and I was like, wait, that's the guy.
That's him, yay.
I was like, oh, hey, claim to fame, I guess. I mean, I've never met him in person. Jared has, and Jared knows people who've been mentored by him, and he's been mentored by people who've been mentored by him. So it's like, it's kind of like, this interesting sort of family tree of authors. Just that's where it all, where it all kind of stems from, almost. So yeah, so go, in his honor, go pick up Rune Lords, pick up Courtship of Princess Leia, go pick up, anything and by him, and you're gonna have a good time, most likely. And he wrote some excellent stories. Cool. But yeah, he will be sorely missed.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh, and also he wrote the Jedi Apprentice books. I was like, why am I blanking?
Oh, that's right. Yes,
that's what it was.
I can remember reading a few of those too.
Same.
It's like he wrote so many things. It's like, okay, I know what he wrote, and I'm blanking on some of these other ones. But yeah.
Yeah, when you're a prolific enough author,
yes,
it's hard to remember.
Yes.
I think the Jedi Apprentice were like the first Star Wars books I've read, if I remember right.
Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of in that circle with Kevin J. Anderson and such. So.
Right. Well, moving on, kind of in a similar vein, but a little happier, as we're recording this today, is Betty White's birthday. So she would have been 100 today.
Yeah.
But in honor of her birthday, I went ahead and on our behalf of the Fiveish Fangirls, and I made a donation in her memory to the Los Angeles Zoo.
Yay.
Aw, yay.
So if you haven't already, you can look, maybe a local one or a national animal charity.
Yeah. I figure if we wanted to make, because I don't know about where you guys live, what kind of local you may have. So, but it was like the Los Angeles Zoo, like that was one of Betty's like big ones. So I figured it was easy enough geographically to just
that works.
Go to that one. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's I went and saw the documentary movie earlier today, and it was a quite a decent crowd at the movie theater, and it was so nice to hear people laughing and, like the clips from the Golden Girls and various things, and it was very nice. It was very touching. It was very sweet.
Good.
And also very funny.
As it should be.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that's it actually for news for now. So, because supposedly our first trailer for the Moon Knight series is supposed to drop sometime this evening, but it is not yet. So I guess we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. That's just how it goes with us. It's like we're recording and
they've been promoting it on like social media since like yesterday.
Watch. Once we're done.
Yeah, the minute I hit stop,
off mic, stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
it'll be there.
Exactly. Here it is.
Yeah.
I guess in the meantime I'll just sort of refresh YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and see although there is a football game, it's the NFL playoffs right now, so maybe it'll be during the football game.
I think that's what they're tying it in with is
so I think I saw that
sports ball,
because they I mean, it used to be the Super Bowl was like, this is when we're gonna do it, but then now they've extended it throughout the rest of the playoffs, which is fine. I have my YouTubers that I follow football through because I'm sick of the NFL, but I have funny football YouTubers that I will happily support.
So moving on to feedback. That's some feedback from Shalane talking about Bob Saget and Hawkeye. She mentions that among the other things that Bob Saget had done recently, yes, he did appear in season 4 of The Masked Singer. So, which seems so long ago, and yet not. Yes. So, what's funny is I thought he was on The Masked Singer the season before that. I thought for sure it was Bob Saget. At least at first, I thought it was Bob Saget because again, some of the clues were pointing to it, even though it was Tom Bergeron. So someone else who's also posted America's Funniest Home Videos. So, but then like the following season, that Bob Saget was a contestant. So.
Maybe everybody else thought the same thing, and they're like, "Hey, there's an idea.
Yeah,
that's who we can get."
Yeah.
No, we just have to wait for Alfonso Rivera to show up and
exactly.
We have every single America's Funniest Home Videos host.
Yes, exactly.
Might be it'll be his turn at some point.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, they'll get around to him.
Yep. So and then she says she concurs with us. Hawkeye was awesome. She mentioned how Haley Steinfeld, who plays Kate Bishop, is already kind of in. I mean, she's in Marvel, but not necessarily MCU because she voices Gwen in the end of the Spider-Verse movies. So, and she loves Yelena. And then Rogers the Musical was the best, and yes, I could do this all day. Actually, that's not the name of the song. The name of the song is actually Save This City. I think everyone just refers to it as I could do this all day. Either way, it is an earworm. That is true. I've even added it to my playlist that I listen to when I'm at the gym. So
I feel like that's a good song to walk out to.
Yeah. It's just so catchy.
Also motivational, especially, when you're at the gym.
Yes.
I can use this all day.
Yep. And then she mentions that Florence Pugh is going to be in a movie coming out this year with someone else from the MCU. Actually, several people from from various fandoms, like Gemma Chan, who obviously was in Shang-Chi, and Chris Pine of DC Wonder Woman and Star Trek fame. that will be out later this year, called Don't Worry, Darling. The synopsis on IMDb is: a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets.
So it's a mix of Pleasantville and Stepford Wives?
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Interesting.
Could be. So.
I'm sorry, when I hear that, they're like, oh, we're riffing on the 1950s. I'm like, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Like, Hollywood, you are nothing if not predictable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So. All right. Well, thank you, Shalane, for your feedback as usual.
Yes.
Let's move on to this week's main topic, which is kind of the beginning of the end of this is Jodie Whittaker's swan song, I guess. Her farewell tour as the Doctor, the start of her farewell tour before she regenerates later this year. So with this year's New Year's Day special, Eve of the Daleks. So Doctor Who does a time loop episode, which you would think a show about time travel would be done more often. But in recent, like even New Who, the most recent thing I can think of that's I guess you could call it a time loop is
Heaven Sent.
Hellbent.
Or
Hellbent's Heaven Sent. It's all one big
that one.
Yeah.
And you could
that Capaldi two-party.
Big Finish did it with
argue the Doctor's daughter, but we never see the repetition on screen.
It's just it's mentioned. Flip Flop is the Big Finish audio that they did it. And you could also say Curse of Fatal Death, kind of.
Not really. That's just burning through regenerations.
Well, I'm more I too had lunch with the architect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tilt your head and squint.
Yeah. Yes. But it's just like watching. I mean, it's done really, really well for this kind of being like a bottle episode, because usually with time loops, it kind of has to be before it gets too convoluted. To keep it in like a single location, in this case a single building, and then just different rooms, but still essentially the same location with essentially just our TARDIS trio, the two people, the two outsiders and the Daleks. It makes it a lot easier to do the whole time loop thing without it getting too confusing, which I appreciated that. But it was just, it was like, what I was thinking about, I was like, the show is almost 60 years old. It's about time and traveling through time, yet time loops is not really a trope that it's really utilized. Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe neither. Maybe it's just a neutral thing. Maybe it's just
it seems like it's more like, okay, we can go anywhere in space and time, so we are going to, go to ancient Rome or go to World War II or or we're gonna go to this alien planet. So it's not so much, time. Time is merely, we're just going to this different time period or something like that. We're not going to mess around with the physics of it, because we're writers, and that makes our head hurt because, can't think of anything more complicated than a Jello mold sometimes. But
you would just think, like, especially in classic Who, when there were points where they were having to rub pennies together to get any sort of budget, that doing something like a time loop episode would be a way to do an interesting story without spending a lot of money. So, but anyway, so Doctor Who finally does a time loop episode. So, I remember when they had the trailer for it, and people are like, "Oh God, time loop episode!" Like, I mean, it's a trope in sci-fi in general, but it's not really been done in Doctor Who. So, and if it's done right, then it's done right. Like they did the time loop episode in the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that was also done really well. So, they take this one and everyone knows that it's looping is a thing, so you're not having to like repeat instructions. Like, wait, what's happening? I completely forgot what I just encountered right before it looped again. So, but it's the doctors try, after everything in the everything that happened with the flux, the doctor's like, okay, she's like, I'm gonna essentially do a factory reset on the TARDIS. To, like, purge disk defragment. Like you do on a hard drive. And
the
like, we're gonna go
of burning sage.
It's like, we're gonna go to the beach while the TARDIS does this. And of course, anytime the doctor's like, I'll take you to the beach, they never make it to the beach.
No.
Honestly,
it's the Eye of Orion all over again.
They never let the doctor promise you if the doctor ever promises to take you to the beach, you're never going to the beach. I'm sorry.
And even if you were to get there would be a monster or something awful.
Oh, trusty soda machine, you give me a
one time.
I want to cope.
One time that the doctor is taking a companion someplace relaxing and not stressful. I'm thinking of Midnight.
I was gonna say
Donna actually got to relax with the doctor tonight.
Yes.
Donna had a spa day.
She was able to kick her feet up and no problems.
The doctor just got psychologically terrorized by whatever is on that planet. I still think that's the scariest episode New Who has done. I mean, Blink is terrifying, but Midnight, whoo boy. Because you never see that sucker.
No, you don't. I mean, at least in Midnight or Blink, you get the idea. Midnight, you don't. Silence of the Library, Forest of the Dead, you kind of.
Although the Weeping Angels have kind of been nerfed since then, so the problem is it's kind of lost its impact a little bit, I think, but that's neither here nor there.
So, and once again, Daleks.
Well, yes.
Which I has been Daleks off the top of my head. I think Daleks have been like the foe in every New Year's / holiday special that Jodie's done, right?
Yes, because it was Revolution, Resolution, and Eve.
Okay.
Because one of my friends is finally getting back into Who. She had stopped with Capaldi, so she was starting with Jodie. And I'm just like, okay, after you watch 11, you have to watch this New Year's special. So that's the name of that one. Then 12, then Revolution, then Flux, then this one's like, somebody's got a fascination with Daleks. I was like, yes, kind of.
They're I mean, they're a fun foe.
Yes.
Especially think even more so now that they're like, they really are giving the Daleks way more personality.
Yes.
Yeah. The issue with them really is, and I think this is true of many Doctor Who foes, is if you use them too much, and this did happen in Classic Who a few times. If you use them over and over and over again, all of a sudden it's like, well, of course the Doctor's going to beat him because he's the Doctor, she's a Doctor, and the Daleks are the villains. So yeah, they're gonna be defeated, but they're gonna come back. They're like the Joker almost.
Yes.
Because Batman has to defeat Joker because he's the hero, but the Joker's gonna come back because that's like the most bankable villain that they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing with Batman, especially in the animated series, is they had a lot of others too. So it's kind of like, and earlier in the New Who run, they were pretty good about coming up with new ones and doing interesting things with them. Like you've got the Weeping Angels, you've got the Ood, you've got Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah.
Or
and you got the redone Cybermen.
Yeah, or they go to a different dimension with the Cybermen, and the nanogenes in Empty Child and different things like that. So it's like they were a little more creative with things that would stick. They didn't just come back to the Daleks over and over and over again. Or in A Christmas Carol, it was Scrooge basically. And they just they were creative with that. So I think it's like, okay, be careful that
or they dig deep and pull back something that has not been referenced for a long time, like Doctor Who and the Snowmen, to bring back the Great Intelligence, which hasn't been referenced since like Troughton's era.
Yeah, and those episodes
the Ice Warriors
don't even exist anymore.
Right.
Like you can listen to the audio, and then some of them have been animated, and that's it. Or one I'm really sad that Stephen Moffat never brought back, because I think he would have done an amazing job with it, is the Mara from the Fifth Doctor.
Yes.
Yes. Very psychological horror, and I'm just like, dang.
Yes.
But he had other things he was doing. So
yeah.
Maybe I'll put that on my wish list for the new RTD era. Like,
yes.
Please do
Be
this
wary
thing for
of
me.
people with snake tattoos.
Yes. It's like, why is
this?
And maybe, I don't know. I could go on a whole spiel about the Mara because it is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, please do this thing. I would love it.
Give me this thing.
I mean, it was kind of cool to see the Dalek upgrade with their Gatling gun. Because I mean, it's like, okay, what are they going to throw? What are they going to throw now? Because I mean, remember before in the early Who, the Daleks couldn't go upstairs, and then when they decided to give the Daleks levitation, it's like, oh crap!
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, these Daleks, they can kill more at once. 5 rounds rapid.
Yeah. It's like you used to be able to take down a Dalek with a baseball bat.
Yes.
Thank you, Ace. So the fact that they now have like more than just like the single laser cannon is the I mean, the Daleks are really, they're annoying. I don't find them necessarily frightening. Because they're so ridiculous, like, because they just think that they're so supreme and the supreme being of the universe, and it's like, no, you're not.
Okay, supreme being of the universe can only get its ass kicked so many times before we're just like, it's a Dalek again.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm like, okay guys, don't overuse them, but it's Chibnall, whatever. So they've overused it. Good job, guys.
Yeah,
Davros would be screaming at you guys right now.
Yeah, but
I mean, the
Daleks
in general.
They are using them in an interesting, a slightly interesting concept. The fact that the time loop was caught, it's not just a weird like glitch thing. It's something that the Daleks created, taking advantage of the post-flux event. So it shows some ingenuity on the Daleks' behalf, which is, is we don't need their ego boosted any further.
They're kind of the ones that are, strutting around going, yeah, we're hot stuff, and you're just kind of like, someone shoves you gently and you fall down and like, I broke my nail.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You're kind of a joke by now.
Yeah. And it wasn't a whole bunch of Daleks. It was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they can only do so much damage when there's 2 of them. So,
yeah, that is true. Although 4 did quite a bit of damage back in Tennant's day.
Yeah.
That is true.
I mean, and Dan and the Doctor with the sass that they were giving the Daleks, it was just like, oh.
Yeah, like I said, I like when the Daleks, when the personality shines through, and then the Doctor, the companion, sasses back to the Daleks. Because that would so be me. If I ever encountered a Dalek, I would be exactly the same way. When the Dalek is like, Daleks do not have managers. It's like, well, maybe that's part of your problem.
Yes.
Or Daleks do not have friends. Yeah, well, you only got yourselves to blame for that.
Yeah. I get a friendlier voice. This one's a bit grating.
Yeah.
Maybe if you guys serve tea more often, you might make some more friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that didn't go so hot for you with Winston Churchill, but
yeah. That is true. That is very true.
The only thing that the Daleks could really take care of in the loop was a door.
Yeah.
The most evil creature in the universe has successfully vanquished an old door.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, I shall forever be known as the Dalek who opened a door.
Yeah.
Oh, and Dan ducking to take out. I think it was Dan who ducked to take out the 2 Daleks.
No, it was the guy. What's his name? Nick.
Nick, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, where he's all he's so he's got a Dalek on each side. He's like, and duck, and they shoot each other in the crossfire. I'm like, you learn quickly, dude.
Yes. That's never happened before.
Yeah.
We've had Daleks play bump 'em cars, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, this isn't anything to be, I mean, it's not anything groundbreaking. Although there is a fun, speaking of fun lines in there, because the Nick is the one, outsider, and then Sarah, who's the gal working at this storage facility. It's self-storage, but the S has gone out in the light, so it says elf storage, which is funny because it's New Year's Eve, so it's still kind of Christmas season. Elf, Santa Claus, but Nick is up in Nick is in really. Nick is up in his storage unit doing his thing. Apparently he hoards gifts from ex-girlfriends in case they ever come looking for their stuff back after they've broken up.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I've never had an ex ask for anything back. Thank you very much. And I've never asked anything back from them. But then, she's working the front desk, annoyed because she's having to work New Year's Eve. And like when the Dalek first appears and she thinks it's Nick, coming back. So she's like, Nick. And then the Dalek is like, I am not Nick. And Nicholas Briggs is the voice of the Daleks. So in a way, the Dalek is wrong because it is Nick.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just not her Nick.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah. So
But he had a little giggle when he said that.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like, Dalek lore and just kind of Doctor Who lore and everything, it's not anything groundbreaking. It's a perfectly good episode with a premise that, like I said, Doctor Who has not really done. The whole time loop thing, giving them because each time they loop, they lose a minute, and the window is already really small to begin with when the loops start, because heaven knows if we even, we presume that the loops start when the Doctor does the thing with the TARDIS, but who knows? Like, they could have been looping for hours for all we know, but probably not. But the fact that they remember what happened the previous loop gives them a leg up to the point, but then they have to think like a Dalek and then kind of do, different than what the Daleks would think they were going to do. So, it's a good premise. It was done well for it being essentially a bottle episode. Like I said, it's essentially most of it takes place in a single location, other than a few interior TARDIS shots. And then when they managed to break the loop in literally the very last second and blow the building up, so we're finally outside, and get our pun intended resolution to the story. So that Nick and our guy Nick and the girl Sarah decide that they're just good. It's like, screw being lonely. We're going to travel the world together because we'll have more fun that way. And the Doctor and Dan and Yaz decide to go off on another adventure with the Doctor once again not opening up to the companions, no matter how hard they try, because the Doctor had promised to open up the Yaz, and still is not done so. But that's kind of
from Dan.
Yeah, a little nudging from Dan, which I think this is the one thing, and I think this is what most people are probably talking about this particular episode, because the whole Dalek time loop thing is like, whatever is done well. It's the relationship between Doctor and companion, in this case, this incarnation of the Doctor and Yaz, and hinting that there may be more than just being, wanting to be more than friends. And, odds are that's not going to, just knowing Doctor Who, odds are that's not something that's going to probably eventually evolve into anything, just because we know Jodie is done
leaving.
Also, hearing this, and it's like, it wasn't that long ago at Comic-Con that there was, San Diego Comic-Con, that there was like an official, quote unquote, official panel where that was entitled "The Doctor Is Not Your Boyfriend." This was several years ago, before Jodie, and like the panel, I don't even remember who was on it, but it was very much like, no, the Doctor is not romantic. The Doctor doesn't do that. And it was kind of like, okay, that's kind of a weird panel to have, but sure. And so it's like, and so then they do this with Yaz, and I'm just like, okay, what? I'm getting some mixed signals here, you guys. But it was just like,
you can, in general, yes, the Doctor generally is the Doctor definitely cares about their companions.
His companions,
And sometimes they seem to care for some more than others, as we saw with Rose. Even though it's never been officially stated by any showrunners or whoever, but as far as David and Billy are concerned, 10 and Rose were a thing. So so I would, I'll take that word. I'll take their word for it. And obviously Matt's doctor married River Song.
Yeah.
Right.
And they acted like a married couple.
Also, you have 12 and River Song, which I'm like, okay, Big Finish. I want the 24 years.
Yes, I want a box set.
I want the box set. When you get Peter Capaldi, free from all his comings and goings, could you get him in the booth with Alex Kingston? Because I would love that.
Please.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just kind of funny, all this, and like I have no opinion one way or the other, but I just remember that panel and just how peevish I think that the tone was on that one. And again, this was at San Diego Comic-Con, where they have the studios and the companies that make these things doing their all their official stuff. So whether or not this panel was a fan panel or if it was like a sanctioned thing, it's still kind of like, what? I have to laugh. I honestly have to laugh, because it's like the BBC, they're talking out one side of their mouth and then they do something else, and it's just it's bizarre. It's like you don't know what you're doing anymore.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wonder.
Yeah, I think sometimes they probably wonder too, actually.
Yeah.
True enough.
I mean,
like, who is running this ship?
I mean, here's my thing is, at the end of the day, I love the character of the Doctor, and it doesn't matter which incarnation it is. Obviously I have some that I like more than others, but I just love the character of the Doctor in general. It doesn't matter which version it is, male, female, young, old, whatever. And as that character, considering the lifestyle of living in the TARDIS, and literally having all of time and space at your fingertips, having the ability to have that sort of life and adventure, you want to share it with someone, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner. And at the end of the day, I want to see the Doctor happy with the life that they have chosen to live, this nomadic, just fly by the wind. Danger is just the thing that happens in between all the fun stuff. Type of lifestyle. And whether it's just friends or romantic, I don't really care.
I mean,
if that's where they want to go, that's fine, because like I said, there's some precedent for it with both with 10, 11, and 12 the previous incarnations. But because we know Jodie is getting ready, we're getting ready to see her regenerate and get a new Doctor to potentially start a relationship, and then have the person that you're romantically involved with suddenly change into literally a whole new person, even if they still have the memories and are essentially the same person on the inside. It would be an interesting dynamic to explore, because we've seen how companions react when the Doctor regenerates just on this is a weird aspect of this life I now live that I did not know was a thing. And to throw a potential romance into it could be interesting. It also would depend on whether Jodie's replacement is going to be male or female, because right now, with the Doctor being female, Yaz is essentially said, and not she implied without saying in so many words, but you can kind of get that inference when Dan was talking to her. She's like, I haven't said anything to her because I haven't even said it to myself. at this point, Yaz is just now realizing her, I guess, potential romantic and or sexual preferences. And it sounds like she has not really been, given a lot of conscious thought to the fact that she may be attracted to women.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. I cannot speak from that experience. I'm as straight as the day is long. I'm sorry. So I totally speaking out of my butt here from no experience whatsoever. But I'd imagine that, Yaz probably needs to do a lot of self-reflection and thought before diving into something. But it could also be a good thing for her. So when she and the Doctor do part ways, hopefully without having to kill Yaz off, as they have done in most of New Who, where most of the companions have died instead of just leaving on their own, with few exceptions, or some sort of tragic leaving, even if they're not technically dead. Like Martha is like the only person off the top of my head that she just got to leave and just be like, I'm done. So,
it would be nice to just be kind of like, and I'm done. I think, this is my take on it, is the way that Jodie has played her Doctor. Okay, because people who say that, they don't want the romantic aspect in there, no hanky panky in the TARDIS, is not because they're prudes or whatever. It's because
there's hanky panky in the TARDIS even if the Doctor's not evolved. River Song did not just appear out of nowhere.
Well, yes, I
right, yes.
But the
we
thing
don't
is,
hanky panky in the TARDIS, but we don't want Doctor related hanky panky in the TARDIS.
So it is weird because the Doctor traditionally, is an alien, and there are things that are just the Doctor does not understand in different incarnations. That the Doctor is, he's very much like explore, all of time and space, and this isn't, this isn't Fabio showing up, to seduce the young maiden or whatever. And so
remember the first incarnation of the Doctor didn't realize that offering Coco was an engagement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And part of that is appealing. Now, I'm not saying I don't like romance in the TARDIS, with the Doctor. Like I just said, I loved Husbands of River Song is one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes because of that interaction, but also because we had all that build up to it. So I am not opposed to it. I do see where people who would rather not have the Doctor companionship. I get that too, because it's kind of like, okay, this Doctor's an alien. He or she doesn't quite get it, and especially with humans, it's it could be kind of weird. And the way that Jodie has played her Doctor has been very alien, very weird, very doesn't understand, human relationships. So I could also see that it would be, Yaz decides, oh yeah, I want to, declare my feelings or whatever. And then the Doctor just kind of is like, okay, now what do I say here? Like, what am I meant to say here? Like that bit, when Graham was, talking about his cancer diagnosis, I believe it was. And he was talking to the Doctor about it, and she's just kind of like, okay, am I meant to be comforting here or what? And it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, you really don't understand how to relate to.
There's a reason
humans.
Clara had to write down index cards.
Yes, like she is my carer. She cares, so I don't have to.
Yeah,
and so there is that aspect, and I could see that being a thing where Yaz opens up, and the Doctor is just kind of like no idea what to do, and so that could be an opening for Yaz to just be kind of like, okay, well then, well that was weird. Bye. So, I mean, yeah, it's just the whole thing with the romance is kind of like, okay, we're going down this road, but this Doctor really isn't the romantic sort. Like, David Tennant, Matt Smith kind of had that. Capaldi had it a little bit. but I kind of like, I did, and the bits with Eccleston and Rose, because there were some there, and that kind of, right there at the end, and that kind of sort of that implying it but not outright stating it was kind of nice, because you could just sort of write your own thing or not, as you chose, which I think with Doctor Who, with that being, kind of like, the fans can go off and say, whatever they want to say. It doesn't have to be spelled out in the episodes itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, there's some different ways that they could take it. It's just kind of funny to me that they're all like, oh, Yaz thinks, she's got a crush on the Doctor, and this Doctor is completely not the romantic type at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's very much got that alien, I have no idea what I'm doing kind of thing, as far as like human relationships go. So it's just it's an interesting choice that I'm looking at this and like, okay, that's what you did this time.
Yeah. And the fact that the Doctor is literally an alien, regardless of gender, automatically makes it, tricky. Yeah. So,
because there are some doors you just don't want to open with that. I mean, unless you're into that, but
yeah, well, it depends on how alien the Doctor ends up being.
Yeah, I mean, the Doctor could end up being,
I'll let fanfic deal with that. Thank you very much.
Doctor could end up being a tentacle monster, and that's all I shall say on that, because this is a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. There's certain sections of the fan fiction universe that this is for somebody, but it's not for me. More, teach their own. That's how I'm gonna say.
And I'm glad that Dan called out the Doctor, not just for he knows that Yaz has feelings, but Dan also knows that the Doctor promised to tell stuff, and he's just like, hey, you need to sit down and talk with her. I don't think Dan meant like you need to talk about your feelings about Yaz to Yaz, but it's like you need to tell her what in the heck's going on with you. To make everything kosher with all of us, because if we hide secrets from each other and we don't find out till later, we could have more catastrophic things going on because we've hid these secrets. I mean, how many shows have we all seen and watched where somebody's kept secrets because, it's better if they don't know this, it's for their own good, and
knowledge is power.
Poor communication kills.
Yes.
Writers,
or lack of.
Yes. Fix that in your mind.
Secrets are just a bad idea in general, and like it's one thing, keeping a secret because you're gonna plan a surprise birthday party for somebody. That's fine. Just be sure they don't mind surprise birthday parties. But almost every TV show of any genre and any sort of all you can do is watch like Cold Case or like 60 Minutes, any sort of whether it's a true crime, murder, or white collar crime, and they're like, oh yeah, it turns out this person was hiding a really big secret. That's all it takes.
Yes. And then all of this spiraled out of control. I mean,
and at this point, I'm more annoyed with the trope of I need to be closed off because I'll say to someone's face, well, I was just trying to protect you, but really they're trying to protect themselves.
Yeah. And
that is just a trope that is done so much. And really at this point, I mean, we're on the quote unquote 13th incarnation of the Doctor. The Doctor has that, if they've not learned anything in these thousands of years of traveling the universe, is closing yourself off to protect yourself from potential pain is never gonna work.
Yeah. And if nothing else, someone is gonna come along, kick you in the butt and say, no, this isn't how you operate, and you know it. Get back. Get over here.
Like you can be, you could be, you got your kid, you're gonna have your companions like Ian and Barbara. They're like, we don't know anything about this person, but they just go along with it because it's fun. And then you get your you're someone like Sarah Jane, who's like, granted she was a reporter, so it was kind of her job to be nosy and ask questions anyway, but still,
and then it became fun.
Yes. And then you get someone like River Song who comes along and she's like, hold on a second, bucko. Yeah.
What in the name of insanity are you doing?
Yeah. The only other person in the entire universe who knows the Doctor's true name, so it's
right.
So not everyone could, a companion shouldn't have to be River Song, like level of personality to break down the Doctor's barriers.
Yeah.
Right.
At this point. So we've been at this way too long. Almost 60 years of this show. It's like, we get it. Yeah, there's always going to be parts of the Doctor that are mysterious, and we don't have to know everything. But after this point, after this long, we should know a few things. I would hope. So
we may have gotten more than we bargained for, honestly.
Well, potentially, but at this point, that's my complaint. Is because it's such a tired trope.
Yeah, it's there's a little too much repeating going on here. It's like, yeah, we did that. Let's move on. Please, pretty please.
Yeah. Otherwise, your character never grows.
No. Yeah, it just kind of feels like you're in a holding pattern. It's like, hey, we're gonna rehash the old, the thing that you learned already, 2 or 3 regenerations ago because reasons. Because you're that dumb of a character. Because there's no possible way you actually could have learned your lesson and moved on to something else. It's like, not a prayer.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep. So that being said, we are breaking out of repetitiveness with the next special, which we'll be getting in theory sometime in the spring, with the return of the Sea Devils.
Yes.
We went from literally time looping with Daleks, it's like, oh yay, Daleks again, to the Sea Devils, like they've been referenced a few times, but just passing references. But what I think it was you in the chat, Holly, it says we've not actually seen the Sea Devils as a proper like adversary since like the 5th Doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Warriors of the Deep.
Yep.
Which that story was fine. The story itself is fine. The execution was not well done, but that's another story. Anyway, yeah. It's funny because a lot of the time the Sea Devils and the Silurians kind of get lumped together, but they are very much not the same.
Right.
Sort of
like
thing.
The
And that goes.
Santarans.
Yeah, and the difference between the Sea Devils and the Silurians goes back to the John Pertwee era. So dust off your DVDs and check those out if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
You have a little time to do some homework prep.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, because we don't have a airing date for this one yet. It's just in theory spring 2022, so it could be Easter Saturday for all we know. Who knows?
Right.
And Sean is like, Easter Saturday.
And props to this episode for having a character that is name dropped throughout the entire episode and was never seen. Jeff.
Yeah. Didn't we see him at the end?
No, that is actually somebody else. He is actually from season 11. the guy that was filming that was not Jeff. It was somebody else.
Interesting.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was Jeff. So.
Nope.
He's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't go into work. Yeah, again, keeping the cast list slim down. I mean, the only other face that we see is Sarah's mom, and that's only on her cell phone. So, but yeah, like I said, this one was okay. I'm excited for the next one just because the return of the Sea Devils, and especially considering just what we saw in the trailer, is considering it's been 40 years thereabouts since we last properly saw the Sea Devils. So the makeup technology has gotten way better, so they look really good.
Yeah.
The guy who was filming the fireworks was named Carl.
Okay. Random passerby then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, compare what the Silurians look like in, back in the day to what they became, in 2010. I think we may be in for a treat with the Sea Devils, with as far as like their look and stuff. So that I am looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get that at some point in the next sometime.
Hopefully before June, because that's the end of spring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Technically.
Yeah. Yep. And then we'll get in the fall is Jodie's last one, right? So this next one, the Sea Devil, is essentially going to be the penultimate episode for Jodie's Doctor, and then we'll get the feature length episode sometime in the fall ish, and she'll regenerate, and sometime between now and then we'll find out who her replacement is.
Yeah.
Supposedly they're supposed to start filming for the next season in the spring with RTD at the helm. So
I know I keep seeing articles about so and so is not going to be the new Doctor. I'm like, well, okay.
And
or
the odds
going
are
to be the new Doctor.
Newsflash.
Yeah. It's like, these are all the people that are not going to be the Doctor, and it's like, well, yeah, those make sense. So
it's like, okay, so
narrows it down to the rest of Britain.
Right.
Yeah. Like here's who we know definitely won't be the Doctor: the Queen of England, any of the rest of the royal family, Paul McCartney, yeah. It's like, who else?
Yeah.
Anyone who's already been the Doctor.
Well, who says, like, David Tennant or somebody couldn't come back and say, oh, I'm revisiting an old favorite, or,
Yes. Yeah. But it wouldn't be a new Doctor, it'd be the same Doctor.
Ooh, what if they got Paul McGann? I don't know if he would.
Yeah. He's having too much fun with Big Finish, I'm thinking.
This is
a lot less physically exhausting doing
this is true. Although it was funny. I don't know how we got on this subject, but Jared was all like, oh, I really want to meet Paul McGann. And I was like, well, he was here in 2014. And he's like, wait, how did I miss that? Like, oh, wait, we weren't dating yet. I'm like, yeah, you barely missed it by, actually, no, like, it's like 6 or 7 months, because we didn't start dating until April of 15. And he was here probably in the fall.
Missed it by that much.
Yep.
It's like, to quote a certain secret agent, missed it by that much.
Yep. Yeah. And he's like,
shoe phone wearing agent.
Yeah. So anyway, I told him,
no, with Paul McGann, we've got a bumper from Paul McGann.
Yes, which I guess that's your cue. You need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was telling Jared about this getting Colin Baker and Paul McGann to do bumpers for us, and how exuberant Colin was, and how Paul McGann was like, well, what should I say? And I'm like, dude, you could read the phone book.
Yeah, whatever the heck you want.
So that's half the fun.
Yes, it is. It was like, I'm directing Paul McGann in voice acting. I mean, it was for a bumper for a podcast, but still.
Still.
Cross that off the bucket list. Well, anyway.
Yes.
Well, if any of our listeners have any feedback on this topic or other topics we have covered in the news or whatever, or just, something that you're like, hey, you haven't talked about blah, blah, blah. Here's an article about it. Why don't you, chat about it or whatever? Drop us some feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. And you can also visit our website, which is thefiveishfangirls.com, where you can find links to our social media, to our show notes, to ways to support the show, which we greatly appreciate. Helps us keep this podcast going. And, you can comment, interact with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. As we love hearing from you guys, and hope you are still enjoying the show, and hope you all are doing well out there, staying warm. If you live in a latitude that is experiencing winter right now, if you're somewhere where it's summer, I am jealous.
Yes. Hopefully it's not getting too hot for you.
Well, yes, that too. Hopefully it's not too hot. So anyway, yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Troy saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And as the ending of this show, the Moonlight trailer has still not dropped.
Yes, we've been keeping an eye on that, and there's nothing.
You have been listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefiveishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/fiveishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Fiveish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/fiveishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/fiveishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.